Time for us to move ahead and take up the next ratio. So the next in the sequence is equity ratio. Now this is something simple. While learning the chapter long-term financing decision, you have already understood most of this part of the ratio, I am sure. It represents the proportion of owner's equity with respect to total capital employed. The term owner's equity, also known as shareholders fund or net worth or net assets. So shareholders fund will be share capital plus reserves and surplus, you know it. So in our case, the amount of share capital is 40 lakhs and reserves and surplus is 20 lakhs. So that would sum up to total amount of shareholders funds as 60 lakhs, correct? Now in LTFD chapter, long term financing decision chapter, haven't you seen that there are 4 sources of long term funds? One is debt, one is preference share, one is equity share, one is retained earnings. So this component shareholders fund will include actually 3 components. Those are preference share capital, equity share capital and retained earnings. In our example, there is no preference share capital, so shareholders funds will be basically 60 lakhs. Now look at the balance sheet and identify how much is the long term debt. You will find 2 components of borrowings and debentures, and that will be 10 lakhs plus 10 lakhs, that is 20 lakhs. So total capital employed will be shareholders funds plus long term debt. So that will be 60 lakhs plus 10 lakhs of bank loan and 10 lakhs of debentures included. Your total capital employed comes to 80 lakhs. Now the idea is very simple. Equity ratio over here would simply indicate what is the ratio of your owner's equity with respect to the total capital employed. So the total capital employed in our example is 80 lakhs and owner's equity itself is 60 lakhs. What does that mean? When you take this ratio of equity divided by total capital employed, it will be 60 lakhs divided by 80 lakhs. It will give you 0.75. What does that mean? You know, out of every 1 rupee of capital employed, 75 paisa is contributed by shareholders and the remaining 25 paisa would be contributed by debt. So that is the significance of equity ratio and debt ratio. The base over there is total capital employed. Numerator will be either equity or debt. So if you could see in the cost of capital chapter, when we were talking about weight of debt and weight of equity for the purpose of computing weighted average cost of capital, I'll just give you a simple scenario. Suppose there is 1 crore of total capital employed where debt is 60 lakhs and equity is 40 lakhs. What will be the debt ratio and equity ratio? Debt ratio will be 0.6 or 60%. Equity ratio will be 0.4 or 40%. That is the implication. You have already learned these ratios with LTFD and cost of capital chapter. So I am sure understanding this is no big deal. Let us move ahead and now take up equity ratio calculation. So it will be shareholders funds divided by total capital employed. So 60 lakhs by 80 lakhs, that will give you 0.75. This ratio indicates the proportion of owner's equity or shareholders funds with respect to total capital employed. In the given case, out of total capital employed, 0.75 or 75% of capital employed represents shareholders funds. Let us move ahead and compute the next ratio as debt ratio. The computation of this is understandable the moment you compute equity ratio. So this ratio represents the proportion of debt with respect to total capital employed. Debt ratio will be long term debt divided by total capital employed. So simple point is, if out of total capital employed of 80 lakhs, if shareholders funds was 60 lakhs, long term debt is 20 lakhs, this ratio will be 20 lakhs by 80 lakhs, that is 0.25. This ratio represents that 25% of total capital employed is financed by long term debt. So one thing is for sure, that if debt ratio is 25%, it is implied that equity ratio is 75%, or if equity ratio is 75%, debt ratio is known to be 25%. So it should be noted that equity ratio plus debt ratio, when you take aggregate, it will always be equal to 1. That is 0.75 plus 0.25 in this case. Now the next ratio is again connected to your long-term financing decision, and this is what we call as debt to equity ratio. My humble request, don't ever get confused between debt ratio and debt to equity ratio. When it is a debt ratio, it is debt upon total capital employed, and the term debt to equity ratio means the numerator will be debt and denominator will be shareholders funds. So here it will be long term debt divided by shareholders funds. So this time the denominator is not the total capital employed, it is in fact the shareholders funds. So it is 20 lakhs by 60 lakhs. You can call it as 1 by 3 or by an absolute value as 0.33. So what does this imply? This ratio indicates that for every 1 rupee financed by the shareholders, the amount financed by long-term debt is 0.33 or 33 paisa. Basically, if you have understood the earlier two ratios, I actually don't have to explain this ratio to you at all. Let us move ahead and take up other ratios for discussion. Next one is debt to total assets ratio. In fact, upcoming few ratios are such ratios where you actually won't need any specific explanation from my end. Just keep writing these important notes. So this is the ratio of long-term debt to total assets. Debt to total assets will be long-term debt divided by total assets. Long-term debt in our case is 20 lakhs, and total assets means all types of assets taken together, that is your current assets, fixed assets, your investments, everything taken together, that is 1 crore in our balance sheet. So what do we interpret out of that? This ratio indicates that 20% of total assets are financed by long-term debt. Let us move ahead and write up further proprietary ratio. This is the ratio of shareholders funds with total assets. So proprietary ratio, it is shareholders funds divided by total assets, and now it is 60 lakhs divided by 1 crore, so that will be 60%. The way we have seen the earlier ratio, that the long term debt to total assets is 20%, the shareholders funds to total assets is 60%. So same type of indication, that 60% of the total assets are financed by shareholders funds. Let me give you a small explanation over here. If you carefully observe the balance sheet, you would see that total amount of assets, it is 1 crore. When you look at the equity and liability side, you will see three components. One is shareholders funds, which is 60 lakhs, another is long term debt, which is 20 lakhs, and yet another is current liability, which is 20 lakhs. So 60 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 20 lakhs. So 1 crore of your asset, 60% funded by your shareholders, 20% funded by long term debts, and 20% funded by short term liabilities or current liabilities. So we don't ever relate current liabilities with total assets. That is a meaningless ratio. In fact, if you want, you can indirectly assess one thing, that your total assets, 60% of those are funded by shareholders funds, 20% funded by long term debt. So it is implied that remaining 20% will be funded by current liabilities. We don't use the term funded by current liabilities in the true sense, because current liability is not a source of long term finance. So we generally avoid it. Anyway, let me take you further and give you further notes. So please write up the next ratio, that is capital gearing ratio. This in fact is a very, very important ratio. Do one thing, first write up the calculations and then I'll explain the whole matter in details. I told you, you first write and then I will explain. This is something that we have learnt with long term financing decision chapter, LTFD chapter. You remember what was trading on equity and concept of capital gearing. We have learnt these two concepts at the early part of that chapter. And because you have learnt over there, actually speaking, you should not need a pinch of this explanation which I am offering anyway. Please try to understand. What happens when it is a trading on equity phenomena that is working? For example, what is trading on equity? If you recall, here you identify whether it is a favorable situation to borrow or not. So you always observe one thing, that what is your return generating capacity, that is rate of return on your capital employed, ROROCE. Remember? So what is the rate of return on capital employed that you can generate? Suppose it is 20% and the borrowings are available at just 10%. Then what you can do? You can actually be benefited by those borrowings, because when you borrow that money with 10% commitment towards the interest, so if you have borrowed 1 crore rupees, you will be able to generate 20 lakhs out of that. But what you have to pay to the lender is just 10% interest. So you pay off 10 lakhs and what is remaining in your hand will be a surplus of 10 lakhs. Even if you have to pay tax on that surplus, you pay tax, and still whatever be remaining net of tax will be adding more and more earnings to your equity shareholders. This phenomena, we call this as trading on equity. Now what happens? When a business initially is launched, the objective is to keep no outsiders funds, correct? The objective is to keep no outsiders funds, no debt, so that we first should know what return generating capacity we can achieve. Then we will think of whether debt can be incorporated in our capital or not. So initially, when the business starts, it is in an ungeared position. When I say ungeared position, means unlevered situation. Unlevered, ungeared have similar meaning. We have discussed this again in that LTFD chapter, but for your reference I am just revising that concept right over here. So when a business is starting, it will have no outside funds involved, because we are not knowing what return generating capacity in the form of rate of return on capital employed we can have. Therefore, we would first operate without using debt as part of capital, means we would operate ungeared. Now if you try to apply this capital gearing ratio over there, the numerator will be debt and preference share, which will be 0. Denominator will be shareholders, that is equity shareholders fund, which will be whatever amount, but 0 divided by whatever amount, the result will be 0. That means your gear position is 0. From automobile viewpoint, if I say 0 gear means a neutral gear. When you start your vehicle, it should always be initiated with a neutral gear. That is what we have learned, correct? Gradually, when you want to increase the pace of the vehicle, you start switching gears upward, correct? From 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, like that. So when in the same way, when your business starts expanding and you need more and more funds, and by that time you have developed a good capacity to generate rate of return on capital employed, in that case when you find ROROCE, that is rate of return on capital employed, greater than the rate of interest applicable on borrowings, you can use that borrowed funds to add more and more value to your shareholders, that is equity shareholders. And therefore what will happen? The gears go on increasing. If you measure that through this capital gearing ratio, more and more of debt will increase the numerator, and denominator being constant, the gearing ratio starts increasing. That is the hint that from an ungeared situation, you have first switched to a low geared situation, and then from low geared situation to high geared situation. This goes on. So friends, this ratio is extremely important because it is observing many things within the long-term financing decisions also. This ratio is crucial for long-term financing decision, and more importantly, I would say your capital structure decisions. So let us move ahead. After understanding this capital gearing ratio, the next thing that we would want to discuss is something more about capital gearing ratio. If I give you in writing, capital gearing ratio indicates the intensity of debt used in capital structure. It indicates the degree of trading on equity used by the company for benefits of its shareholders. It also indicates what? Financial leverage. With this capital gearing ratio of just 0.3333, what we find that there is a low gear, and when there is a low gear, we can also consider one fact that the company is not having high degree of trading on equity. Now whether this is justified or not, we will not conclude now. For this we would want to know two more components, that is what? The rate of return on capital employed, that is ROCE, and we will look into what is the interest rate applicable on borrowings, and then we would finally conclude whether the company has a possibility of enhancing its capital gears or not.